हरिः ॐ शं नो मित्रस्यं वरुणः शं नो भवत्वर्यमा शं न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शं नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Now we are going to the second lesson, the occultism of the Zodiac. You will find this lecture also in the book of the Master, Astrology, an occult and spiritual perception. In that book you find this lecture. Already I presented this lecture to you. Now I am going to explain to you the important and salient points in this lecture. This lecture is the occultism and occultism of the Zodiac. Occultism exactly means to do something, that is to follow a path not only mentally and intellectually but also by way of action. That is to practice in daily life so that our attitudes may be rectified and purified and the conditioning of the mind is released and liberation from our complexes is effected. No amount of philosophy or theology is enough to do this. In this lecture, Master wanted to explain about the occultism first. Generally, people understand occultism means it is also a part of spirituality. They have to practice some sort of meditations and they have to read certain different type of books and they have to do some rituals and they have to understand the things from the universal point of view or cosmic point of view, like that. They try to understand occultism in a different manner. But if you read the lessons of the Master or if you follow the lectures of the Master E.K., you will understand very clearly that he will try to bring everything into the earth. Generally we say he is down to the earth. If somebody is very practical in his life, generally we call him he is down to the earth. Like that, Master, whatever he teaches, either it is Veda or Upanishad or scripture or theosophy or astrology or any great thing, he will try to give us an application to practice in our life. That is the beauty of Master E.K.'s teaching. I think you understand what I mean to say. Whatever the teaching he gives, he tries to bring into the practical side of life, and also he will give us a clue, a key to translate any teaching into practice. That is the very, very important point in Master E.K.'s teaching. Here, occultism means exactly to do something, that is to follow a path not only mentally and intellectually but also by way of action. We have to follow a path. That is number one. The path is not only mentally, the follow the path is not only mentally or intellectually but also by way of action. This is the beauty in the teaching of the Master. Generally people, they have a lot of ambitions, good ideas, good ideologies, good principles, good morals on the mental plane, not on the physical plane. They speak very beautifully and very sweetly, very inspirationally they speak. These are all a mental activity and intellectual activity. But somebody has to follow that. So in the occultism, what Master is telling, We have to follow that on the physical plane also. We have to show, you have to show that in the action, not only in your speech, not only as your intention, but also we have to show it in our action, in the physical world. That is to practice in daily life, so that our attitudes may be rectified and purified, and the conditioning of the mind is released. What happens when we follow a procedure daily in our practical life? What happens, he is explaining here, attitudes may be rectified and purified. That is the first thing. Whenever we wanted to do something, we have to understand by ourselves what for we are doing this. Suppose we like spiritual life. What for? What you are expecting from it? Why we are following a spiritual line? Why we are doing a meditation? Why are doing a charity? Why are doing the prayer? Why you are chanting a mantra? Why you are going to many places to visit the great people? What is the purpose behind it? Exactly what we are expecting from it. What we wanted to be in our life. This thing has to be answered by ourselves, to ourselves, right? So, the first thing is attitudes may be rectified and purified. First of all, attitudes should be rectified and purified, and the conditioning of the mind is released, and liberation from our complexes is affected. The conditioning of the mind should be released. We are conditioned by so many things in our life. We speak about Aquarian age, we speak about Maitreya, we speak about the world teacher, we speak about the universal love, we speak about unconditional love, we speak about the meaning of a guru or a master or who is a world teacher, but we feel that ourselves is a separate group having this type of teachings, this type of literature. It itself is conditioning. That's why when you read the books carefully of Master E.K., he speaks about Jesus, he speaks about the Indian Rishis, Vedas, he speaks about Egyptian mythologies, he speaks about Greek mythology, he speaks about Old Testament, he speaks about Buddha's teachings, he speaks about so many great people. He never says in his life that it is his path. You understand? This is what we call the universal teaching. So when we love our master, when we love our religion, when we love our tradition, when we love a certain book, we feel like we are enriched with the teaching of that particular master, or any master, maybe the Alice Bailey books or Blavatsky books or any books. They are very great books. But if once we say this is the best book in this world, it is the conditioning of the mind. Because we know the world very little. We come across the people, very few number of people, and millions and billions and billions and trillions of people are there in this world, and millions of writers are there in this world. So many great peoples are there in this world. We know only 5% or not. I don't think it is more than 5% or 6%, whatever it may be. There are so many great masters. Some of them come to the world, to the objective world. Some people, they work behind the screen. Some people, they won't show themselves out to the outer world. So then, if we label somebody else is so great, and this book is so great, and this religion is so great, and this path is so great, and this prayer is so great, it is good to follow that particular path, but we should not label that as a great one. It is a conditioning of the mind. We cannot call it as universal or Aquarian or something like that. So this is what Master is telling here very clearly. Our attitudes may be rectified and purified, and the conditioning of the mind is released, and liberation from our complexes is effected. We will be liberated from our complexes. Unknowingly, we develop so many complexes in our psychological and mental plane. The purpose of occultism is, when we practice a path on the physical plane with a way of action and practice in a daily life. It is so simple. What is to be practiced in daily life? So do some meditation. What for? To have a clarity in thought, to have a focus in our life, to have a goal in our life, to understand what is good and what is not good for us, to understand what we have to do, what we need not do, and we have to understand where we are so potentially strong and where we are weak. These are the things we have to understand. These are the things will be clarified, and we will have a clarity in our thought, in our action, only in the meditation, when we focus totally on the meditation. Right? When you are doing the pranayama, for example, for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it is a way to purify our vital body, our pranic body. Right? When we do some yoga or exercises or asanas or some exercises or something, some physical activity, it is to purify the physical body. So to purify the physical body, to purify the pranic body, and to purify the mental body, we need these 3 types of exercises. It is so simple. It will take some 40 to 45 minutes time. This is more than enough, or 1 hour, right? To read some good book, to read some good books of different authors. Very famous people, books from the famous people with different dimensions, different directions. You remember that it is always very good. Don't be conditioned with any one set of books, and because there are a lot of things in this world written by so many great people with the different dimensions. That is to clear off the things, to open ourselves to the other worlds. Other worlds means, I am not speaking about the settler worlds, to the people who are very good with the other dimensions, right? This is what Master is explaining here. There should be some practical procedure to follow. We have to develop a practical procedure. That is, practical procedure means when to get up from the bed. It depends upon the geographical conditions of the globe, or our routine, our health, whatever it may be. If you want to wake up, if you want to develop a discipline in your life, fix up a time to wake up from the bed every day, the same time. Then do some physical exercises. Then do some pranayama. Then do some meditation, or some chanting, or prayer, whatever it may be. Then takes the food, breakfast, which suits your health. At the same time, which purifies the system. And the most important part is the food which is useful to improve your health conditions. That's it. Like that, we have to plan our regular time. Master explains in the next lessons how to divide the time, what are the 4 cardinal points, and all those things he will explain. But we should have a set of practical procedure. A change should take place in the psychological setup of the spiritual student. If he follows a practical procedure with a discipline, what happens? There is a lot of change in his psychological setup. It is very difficult to take a total change of the basic psychological setup. It is not so easy to change the psychological setup. It is very easy to change any other thing except our attitudes and psychological setups or behavioral patterns. It is very difficult. That's why we have to be very patient and very disciplined, and we have to maintain a very orderly life. It is called in transformation. We bring our psychological capsule from our previous birth, and unless We are ready to follow a scientific path accepted by the traditionalist and tried and well verified through thousands of years. We cannot hope to have a transformation of our psychology. Here Master is using the word transformation, not a change. Change is also very good, but transformation is the final thing. If we want to transform ourselves, it is not so easy. Why? Because we bring a capsule of our previous karma from our previous births. That conditions our mind. When mind is conditioned, our thought also will be conditioned. When the thought is conditioned, our speech will be conditioned, and our actions also will be conditioned. Then what happens? When actions are conditioned, when the thought is conditioned, we are conditioned by that, our acts also will be like that, and we accumulate further karma in this birth. Already the past karma is there. We accumulate further karma to the past karma, and if you take this past and present karma into the future life, it will become much more, and it is not so easy to wash off that karma. It is not so easy as if we are speaking in the lectures about the washing of karma and all those. It is not that much of easy. We should follow certain procedures. This is the science of yoga. In the science of yoga, what they teach, first of all, you have to purify our karma. How karma conditioned our mind, how karma conditioned our health, and how karma conditions our thoughts, how karma conditioned our life and life events. If you understand this and you write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that, and try to find out, close your eyes and do meditation for some time and take one point. I am not very good in my health conditions. Then what are the reasons? What are the health positions? What are the health situations? What are the health problems I am having? So, what are the foods I have to avoid? What are the foods I have to take? What are the medicines I have to use? What type of pranayama I have to do? What type of yoga I have to practice? Finish. If you write down a notes or take the help from elderly persons or good person in those subjects, it is not so complicated, and then try to follow it sincerely. Sincerely means 100%, not 99%. Number 2, I am not financially strong. Why I am not financially strong? Why I am not able to get a job? Why I am not successful in my job? What are the reasons? If you have to improve our technical qualifications or academic qualifications, go to appear for examinations. Right? Why all the time I am losing my job? Is there any problem with my attitude? How I am behaving with my superiors? How I am behaving with my people who are working under me? And is it necessary to improve my skills like that? You have to write it off and you have to discuss with your colleagues or friends. Or discuss with yourself, shut your doors and sit calm in the house and remember the master and write down. Like that, wherever we are lacking something, just put it on the paper, analyze by yourself, and if necessary, go to the experts of that particular field. You can find in our own friend circle, and then you have to follow that. You have to chalk out a program, and you have to follow it for 1 year, minimum 1 year time. Like that, if you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, and then you believe me, I am telling you, if you are sincere about this path, then if you try to follow that procedure, what you have written there or what you got the advice from the elders, and even your past karma will be also rectified and neutralized. This is what Master calls as transformation. This we have to practice this. The age-old sign, this is the second lesson, and the lesson number is the occultism of the Zodiac, and the second one is significance of astrology. I am going to the second one, the significance of the astrology. Now let us go into a little detail of how to use the zodiac for this purpose. That is what we are to do with the knowledge of the zodiac. So Master is giving the clue in the occultism how you can use the zodiac for the purpose what we discussed in the last lesson. Are we to understand what our sun sign is and what our ascendant is and what our moon sign is and believe that our signs are the greatest? In the beginning, generally everyone is inclined to believe that his astrological sign is the best in the zodiac. In every astrological book, he refers to his own sign and then he fails to go through the other signs. For example, if my sun is Leo, I am inclined to believe that Leo is the royal sign and that is the best of all the 12 astrological signs, and all the other 11 are a little bit inferior to my sign. For this purpose, is astrology required, or is there a positive purpose, a purpose which is quite different from the predictive aspect of it? Master is telling here one important thing. Somebody, are we to understand what our sun sign is and what our ascendant is and what our moon sign is and believe that our signs are the greatest? Even me, from the beginning I am explaining to you, find out the ascendant, find out your moon and find out your sun. Master also explains the same thing in the spiritual astrology book. And find out these three things and try to understand about yourself, and it is true. But here Master is telling from a different perspective, different angle. What he is telling, is it the only purpose of astrology to explain to you about your moon sign and ascendant? Is it the only purpose? He is questioning here with a different dimension, not with the dimension what he explained before. Number two, if somebody is born in Leo sign, then suddenly what we do in general, when we learn astrology in the beginning days, what we will do, just we will go to your sun sign, and every sun sign he writes very, very beautiful, he will give very beautiful statements and he will give very beautiful praises. And he writes every sign, it is so beautiful and so special and so unique, like that. So generally people believe the sign in which they are born is very great, and other 11 signs are not so great, even though he will not utter those words outside, but people feel their sun sign is very great. This is a psychological weakness, it is an ignorance. But it is true. Everybody feels every sign has its own unique qualities, great qualities. Every sign, they pick up those particular qualities and they feel this is the best sign in the entire zodiac among the 12 signs. That is the conditioning. That is what Master is telling. Don't do that, because if you focus on your only of your sun sign all the time, whenever if you see 100 books, for example, in all the 100 books, just we will try to read our own sun sign, not other sun signs. Then the purpose of astrology is to understand about yourself and understand about others, understand about the universe, understand the solar system and the planets and how they work, how they influence, what is the purpose of the planets in the total grand plan. All these things we have to understand. When we confine only to our sun signs, then we miss all the 11 signs. All the 11 signs means indirectly we are missing the people, millions and millions of people who are born in other 11 signs. It is a horrible way of conditioning ourselves with only one sign. It is not acceptable. It is not recommended in astrology. Even when we read our own sun sign, we should read that sun sign impartially, and we should never keep ourselves, never try to identify with the readings given in the book with ourselves, because we will be conditioned. It is so simple and it is common sense. Even suppose if I am born in a Libra sign or Leo sign, for example, and somebody writes 20 pages of notes or 30 pages of notes, whatever it may be. If I try to read it and if I try to identify myself with that, I can identify myself with that with a little portion of it, that's it. And nobody will have all the qualities of that particular sign explained by that particular author in that book. It is impossible. So this is what Master is telling here. The age-old science of astrology is very sacred. The age-old science of astrology is very sacred. The fact that the world scriptures include astrology as the basis to indicate that astrology has a greater significance than what we actually understand. It is an age-old science, and the great saints, the hundreds of years of penance, and they visualized the science and they got that from the higher planes, and they told us that it is one of the greatest sciences. It's a greater significance than what we actually understand. It's a greater significance than what we understand about astrology. As we go deep into astrology and as we understand the occultism of astrology, that is if we can use the astrological procedure as a sacrament, we will be able to understand the meaning of occultism and sacrament. If we go very deep into the astrology, we will understand that it is like a ritual, like a sacrament. If you go very deep into the astrology, you will feel like if you feel no, it is not just meant for predictions. It is something else. It is like a sacrament. We will be able to understand the meaning of occultism and sacrament. It is astrology is like a sacrament. It is like an occultism. It is like an yoga. It is a guiding star. It is a guiding light in our life. So if we sincerely go deep into astrology, simply we forget about our horoscope. Simply we forget about our horoscope. When we look into our horoscope, if there is a particular aspect is there, and we are related with that particular aspect, then we try to read our horoscope with that background, like an experiment or research or something like that. For that we use our horoscope, because we know about ourselves, we know about our planetary positions, and we know about what they write here. Only to reconfirm it, we just read our horoscope just as an experiment or for the research purpose. That's it. Even we read others' horoscopes also for the research purpose, and then in the case of others, what we will do, we will try to read the horoscope. If necessary, it is so important to guide them. That's it. Not for prediction. Sometimes we can also give predictions. There is nothing wrong in it. It is only to give a prediction also. A spiritual astrologer who is thorough with this subject, when once he gives a prediction to others, he will give a prediction as an advice, as a guidance. That is the difference between the mundane astrologer and the spiritual astrologer. Okay? This is the significance of astrology. So tomorrow I will explain the other two lectures.